Many people say that type 8 personalities are hard to get along with. They're intense, domineering, and sometimes even overwhelming. And honestly, this impression isn't entirely wrong, because when 8s are in an unhealthy state, they can indeed become overly controlling, sometimes even intimidating. But did you know? They often don't realize how much pressure they're giving off. In their hearts, they believe they're simply doing the right thing. They're standing up for justice, protecting what they care about, and holding the line for what they believe in. So when they find out that their tone or behavior has hurt someone, they're often shocked and sometimes deeply confused, because in their minds, they were acting out of goodwill, trying to protect, trying to help, trying to do what's best for everyone. And when they finally realize the impact they've made, a wave of guilt can rise up from deep within, sometimes even self-blame and emotional pain. You see, 8s have so much love in their hearts. They are loyal, fiercely protective, and deeply moved by injustice. They are born with a kind of strength, a drive to defend the weak, to stand up for what's right, to speak out when no one else dares. But that protective power often comes across as overpowering. It can be hard for others to get close to them. So if you're interacting with a type 8, learn to see the goodness beneath the surface. When they speak loudly or act firmly, it's usually not an attack. It's their way of facing the world and shielding themselves and others from harm. They don't intend to hurt anyone. They're just so focused on control and protection, they may overlook other people's feelings. Of course, if an 8 goes too far, if their tone becomes too harsh or their emotions too intense, we still have a responsibility to tell them the truth. Don't be afraid to speak up, because 8s respect honesty. They may not change overnight, but your directness will reach them. They'll remember your words, and they may be quietly moved. For type 8, true growth comes from learning softness. It's in allowing themselves to feel other people's emotions, to connect with their own vulnerability and needs. They've spent so much time being strong, taking charge, fighting for control, that sometimes they forget this simple truth. They too need care. They too want to be understood, to be loved, to feel safe. When an 8 begins to let go of their need for control, when they stop insisting that they must carry the weight alone, they discover something beautiful: trust, collaboration, relief, joy. A healthy 8 starts to resemble a type 2, warm, caring, thoughtful, generous with their love and energy. They don't just lead, they empower, they inspire, they uplift. Their strength becomes a force of protection, not domination. Their firmness becomes a foundation of trust, not resistance. And when an 8 learns to care for themselves as deeply as they care for others, when they begin to express power with softness and love with presence, they will no longer need to prove their worth through force or control, because their very presence already carries power, a power that earns genuine respect, and all of their relationships will begin to flourish with trust, love, and joy. Thank you so much for listening.